Those of you that have been following my channel for any length of time know that one of the basic premises of my channel is fishing lakes that I've never been to before. Well, in this week's episode of the 262 Fishing Friday Forum, I tell you guys how I prepare for a lake that I've never seen before. I recently set out on a journey to catch a fish in Lower Nemahbin Lake to get the first fish in the new boat and to catch a fish in that lake, which I've never done before, so that would be another lake checked off the list in my journey to catch a fish in every lake in Waukesha County. And in preparing for fishing Lower Nemahbin, I realized that there are actually a lot of steps I take days before I even get to the lake, and I want to bring you along and show you how I go about preparing with what I did to prepare for fishing on Lower Nemahbin Lake. So anytime I go fishing on a new lake, or I shouldn't say new lake because the lakes have been here for decades and centuries and millennia, but a lake that's new to me, I take a series of steps to make sure I'm getting the best bang for my buck, because you guys know I've talked about it in the past. I usually only get a couple of hours at most of fish, and I want to maximize my opportunities while I'm on the water. So the first thing I do is I decide what is the main goal of fishing this lake. Am I fishing it to just check it off the list? Or in the case of Lower Nemahbin, I had heard that there are smallmouth and I wanted to target smallmouth. And so I headed to Lower Nemahbin Lake in search of a smallmouth bass. So once I've decided what lake I'm going to fish, I need to figure out how I'm going to fish it. One of the first places I'll go to is Navionics. Now, Navionics is a paid application, but you can also go online to navionics.com. It's a free service. You just need to be able to find their topographical maps and be able to click through just on your desktop or on your smartphone. You don't get all the fancy GPS features with that version of it, but you're still able to see the contours on the map. Well, one of the things I do is I look at the contours and try and find underwater humps or points or anything that might have a tendency to hold fish. Well, Lower Nemahbin's a great example of something that Navionics really doesn't have a whole lot for. So the next place I go is actually the next place I would go regardless of whether Navionics has a good underwater graphing system, and that's to the Wisconsin DNR website about that lake. Usually you can just get on the Google machine, type in the lake that you're going to, and the DNR's page will be one of the first options there. So because Navionics didn't really graph Lower Nemahbin very well, but I've seen overhead footage that makes me think there's got to be more to this lake than what I'm seeing, I went to the DNR website and I found an old topographical map. Now, I say old because most of the maps I find there are from the 20s, the 30s, the 50s. They're old. But here's the thing. Most features underwater are really not going to change that much, and it gives me a general idea of what I'll experience and what I should expect to be under the water. Now, this is a lot more detailed than what Navionics gave me, and it led me to a sandbar off of one of the islands, and it looked to me like a decent place to start. From there, I looked at GPS maps on Google Maps to confirm what I was seeing on that is true, but you can see that the water's a lot darker there, which tells me it's a lot deeper than what the Navionics app is telling me. And I knew that maybe that sandbar and that drop-off might be a decent place to start. Okay, from there, while I'm still on the DNR website, I'm going to click over to the general overview. This page is going to tell me what I should expect as far as a launch, how clear the water is, which is key for when I'm preparing my rods and reels a day or two before, so I know at least generally what I should be tying on, if I should be fishing clearer water or expect murkier water, because that's going to affect my choice of lures. It also tells me what species I should expect to catch at this lake. In the case of Lower Nemahbin, obviously I knew I was targeting smallmouth, but if I'm going to a lake because I want to just fish that lake, I want to know what kind of fish I should expect. Now, the DNR website only mentions game fish, and a lot of the times there will be rough fish as well. You'll get your catfish, you'll get your carp. So just expect that that's an option as well, even if the DNR website doesn't say it, because the DNR website focuses on bass, northern, walleye, panfish, and of course muskie. Generally, I have an idea of the first 2 or 3 places that I want to target. After I've decided those, I'll be checking the weather usually a day or two beforehand, get an idea of what the forecast is going to be. I'm going to be tying different lures if I'm expecting, wind and clouds than totally calm and crystal clear skies. Obviously, this isn't necessarily lake specific, but it's a good practice to be in so that when you do get out on the water, you've already got an idea of what to expect, you've tied on the appropriate lures, and you can maximize your opportunities while you're out on the water. Okay, so it's the night before or maybe the morning of fishing. I'm going to do a final check on what the weather's supposed to be. I'm going to do a check on a website, Lakelink, which I forgot to mention, but I'd be checking that as well. Get an idea of what people are talking about. Nobody on Lakelink ever gives their spots, which is understandable. Occasionally, people will give tips on what they've caught fish on, what fish they've caught, and where they caught them. So I usually try and get a last-minute update, see if anything new came in, anything recent that I can adapt my fishing a little bit more right before I go out. And then, of course, too, I always double-check to see if there's any indication that there's going to be a launch fee. Generally speaking, I try and keep a couple bucks with me in small bills, so if there is a launch fee that I didn't know about, I can at least be prepared. But to know the launch fee ahead of time, have exact change ready to go so that all you have to do is fill out the envelope, drop it in the box. It'll help you save time when you get there, so you're not scrounging around trying to find nickels, dimes, and quarters to throw in this envelope, hoping you have the right amount. So that's a basic rundown of what I go through when I'm fishing a lake that I've never been on before. Of course, I'm always asking people too if I know they fish those lakes or if they have any experience. But at the end of the day, you really want to be able to focus on doing it just based on your own research, because something that might have worked for your buddy 3 years ago might not work anymore now, and you want to get the most up-to-date information possible. If you have a certain routine that you go through, whether you're fishing a water you've never been on before or the same lake you fish every other week, drop a comment down below. Let me know what techniques you use to prepare for a day out on the water. And if you're curious to know how my technique works, make sure you're subscribed, push the red button down below, push the bell next to it to get notifications when I put my videos out. My next video, you'll see exactly how well this works, because you'll see the first fish using this strategy, and also the first fish on the boat, is exactly in the first spot I decided I was going to go. And of course, if you're local to Waukesha County, make sure you also comment down below. Let me know what lakes you'd like to see me fish, and that's where I'll head to, because I am still on my journey to catch a fish in every lake in Waukesha County. And I know I mentioned it before, but make sure you subscribe, because we're getting a little bit closer to that 250 subscriber mark, so we can give away the Mepps Basser Kit lures to one of you lucky subscribers. If you have any suggestions for what you'd like to see in the 262 Fishing Friday forum, comment down below as well, so I know what you guys would like to see, because that's really what this is all about. Getting involved in conversation with you guys so we can talk about it, because we all learn better when we learn together, and that's what the 262 Fishing Friday forum is all about. And as always, folks, remember, it doesn't matter if you go around the world or go around the corner, just as long as you go fishing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the water.